In your business, I'm willing to bet there is a series of things that you know you should do and know you need to do, but you just cannot motivate yourself to do them. If this is a truth for you, you are not alone. In fact, there is hundreds of thousands of other business owners out there on planet Earth who struggle with exactly the same thing. And today, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. My name's Rob Yates. I'm one of the founders of We Get Outdoors. And today, as usual, I'm joined by my able assistants to the magic show that is the We Get Outdoors Business of the Outdoors, Mr. Mark Hopkins.
I am struggling just to nod my head because the heat and humidity today is insane.
So if you're listening to this in the Northern Hemisphere, you're in autumn or fall now. It's getting cold. The days are getting shorter. And Mark, the temperature today is?
I think it's just tipped over about 41 degrees centigrade.
And knowing where Mark lives, that probably means it's in the high 90% of humidity as well. So melting.
No, so it's quite a good topic about motivation of things you don't want to do. So I had a thought about this when you talked about it. Does speaking to you, Clouds, is one of those things that I don't really want to do, but I know I have to do.
So I was going to ask you that, though. If you're to be honest, I'll be honest as well in a second. What is some of the things that you don't want to do in We Get Outdoors or as a business owner that you just have to go and do, and maybe you motivate yourself or force yourself to go and do? What are a couple of those things for you?
To be honest, anything that puts me behind the laptop is something that I have to motivate myself to do, because I think, like most outdoor business owners, we want to be outdoors. I think in the stuff that we do, anything that takes me away from talking to clients or working directly with clients is hard to do. I must admit, the thing that I find writing the blogs, I find that I don't find coming up with the content. Obviously, we come up with the content quite easily. But I must admit, spending the 2 to 3 hours to turn content into something that sounds good in written word it's not the thing that I look forward to doing the most, I must admit. But I know
you are very good at it.
To get content out there.
You are very good at it.
Oh, it's because I hire someone to do it without telling you.
So I'm the same. Anything that involves being stuck behind a laptop. Equally, I have to be honest, anything that involves business deadlines, I want to run a mile from. If you tell me I've got to be somewhere like Saturday morning, car park at Golden Gate National Park in South Africa to go hiking in Drakensberg with clients, and I need to meet the clients at 8 a.m., I have no problem at all with hitting that deadline and being there for that deadline. If you say a website copy for the new website, and we need to get it done by a week on Tuesday at 5 p.m., oh my goodness gracious me, that is you're
very good at giving people deadlines, though.
Yeah, that's it. It's a pot calling kettle black, really, isn't it?
We are going to release this book in 3 days, and we haven't written it yet. That's never happened before.
No, that was a few years ago, and I haven't dropped a whole book on your head since. But I mean, not with 3 days' notice, anyway. So I've been playing with this idea because almost every business owner we talk to, we explore their business with them. We find out what it is that they wish to achieve from their business by when. And then we start unpacking what the reality is of what does that work look like to achieve that goal or that end in mind. How many hours per day? What are the tasks that need to be done? So on and so forth. And all too often we get to the point where people say, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to manage staff, or I don't want to turn up at 7 o'clock in the morning, or there's all sorts of I don't want to do it. And we've been busy playing with strategies for ourselves and for other clients to help them work through that. So I suppose a little question for you, Mark, is, so you're talking about taking these videos and turning them into blogs, and that's one of the tasks that you do. What are some of the things that you have in your mind while doing it that gets you to do it?
I think there's two things. There's an altruistic thing, and then there's a sort of a different viewpoint. So the first thing is, if one person reads this article and makes a change to their business and their life based on what we have written, then we've achieved our goal. Then I'm really, really happy. So it's that thought that there's somebody out there who might find this, who will change how they do the things, and it'll impact themselves, their family, and everything. That makes me feel really, really good. The second thing is, from a We Get Outdoors perspective, we all know the more quality content you have out there, the more likelihood you're going to get found, and then the more clients, and we grow the business. So there's I think I want to help one person, and then the other thing is I really want We Get Outdoors to be the most engaging, entertaining, exciting outdoor brand in the world. And in order to do that, this is a box that needs to be ticked.
So I have that thought as well. I have two other things in my head that go through my head when I've got to do something, and often it is laptop orientated. And one of those things is doing it in the knowledge that it's not going to have to be forever. So when we originally set up We Get Outdoors, I built the website. I learned WordPress and built the website. I wouldn't say it was a very good website, but I did build the website. And I built the website in the knowledge that at some point in time in the future, I wouldn't have to be Mr. Website anymore. We could go and hand it on to somebody else, which we've done in the past few months in getting the new website, which will be live in, I reckon, 3 or 4 weeks' time, which will be live. So part of that is, for me, about having a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we can come on about talking about how you get a light at the end of the tunnel that's more than just a dream of one day I'll delegate it. We've all got dreams, but how do you take that dream and turn it into a reality? I think we can chat around that. The other thing that I try and do is, I know that I get my hard to do work done best under pressure, number one, in small chunks, number two, and often I get it done best in the evening. I don't know why, but sometime between 7 and 10 p.m. I know that's like my little formula. And so when I've got that stuff to do that I don't want to do, I ensure that I put the time to one side to do it. That's like stack the odds in my favor, where I can't just say tomorrow. Because I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They get that task, they groan, and it ends up in the tomorrow pile, and that ends up into next week, next month, stroke never having happened.
Yeah. I think probably now is a good time. Why don't you tell the story of one of our clients who had that horrible feeling about cold calling that you helped them navigate through? Because I think it'll allow the 4 things that we've talked about to be brought to life.
That's it. So this client helps it helps business owners to grow their business by doing short experiences, short, but 5 to 10 days long, in his home country of France, in a beautiful chateau, where you go and get outdoors, and at the same time as being outdoors, you talk about, in his particular niche, marketing. And he works mostly with business consultants, is mostly his client base. And to do that, to find those quick enough in his business, he needed to go pick up the phone and cold call people. And he is brilliant at it. He is one of those people who, when he phones somebody to cold call them, he doesn't sound like the usual telemarketer who's like, oh shit, let me just hang up on this person as quickly as possible. He actually sounds like your best mate who wants to help you, wants to have a good conversation with you, so on and so forth. And he's brilliant at it. He's genuine at it. And yet he's been doing it for 25 years in different jobs. Since his early 20s, he did it with selling double glazing to like homeowners in his early 20s. And he is done. He is done with now. But when I did a coaching session with him, he was done with it forever. He said, I recognize it's the thing I have to do, or the business has to do, but I don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, cool. How do you outsource it if you can't go and train people and show people? And can you afford to outsource it yet? And the answer to that question was no, I can't afford it yet. And so we went through this process of, well, okay, so the goal is for the business to do cold calling and for you not to have to do it. And we recognize you can't afford for that to be the case right here, right now, today. So how big do we have to get your business, or how many customers do we have to have buying from your business in order for you to be able to afford that person to do the cold calling for you? So we started playing with metrics and how many, what was his conversion ratio and how many calls did he make in a week? And optimistically, we got to 5 months. And that was 5 months if everything went 100% perfectly, which, as we all know, nothing ever goes 100% perfectly. Ever. And so then we started playing with what the variables were. We actually got to a time frame of 9 months, building in like a cock-up factor of X goes wrong and Y goes wrong. You take 2 weeks holiday and, so on and so forth. And that gave him security that this idea of cold calling isn't something that he's going to have to do in his business forever in a day. Actually, I need to be excellent at it now and use this as an opportunity to record calls, build systems, build processes, recruit somebody or more than one person to do this part of the business for me, train them, so on and so forth. And so that when he got to that 9-month window, he was ready to say, awesome, here's George and Jessica or whatever his people's names are, and they're off to the races now and they're doing this part for me. And now I get to stop doing this part of the business that I really am good at, but I really don't enjoy anymore. And I get to focus on what I really love doing more, which is actually taking that 15 hours a week that he was doing of cold calling and being face-to-face in the outdoors, working with consultants, helping them market their businesses better, whilst taking them hiking and whatever else. And that was a real epiphany for him. And in honesty, it was a real epiphany for me as well, because I think everybody thinks when somebody says, here's this thing you've got to do, everybody thinks it's forever. It's a bit like dieting, Mark, right? You've got a weight you want to drop down to. Not for you, but I mean, maybe for me. You've got a weight that you want to drop down to. Now, losing weight is really a really simple process. You eat less calories and do more exercise. It's not rocket science. But once you reach that weight that you want to get to, you then can eat slightly more and exercise slightly less because you end up in a maintenance mode and you're not having to do those hard yards every day of not eating enough calories and maybe spending an hour and a half exercising as opposed to half an hour exercising because you go into maintenance mode. And so you can almost use that mathematical process of saying, well, how long can I absorb the suck for? Well, I guess as long as is needed, as long as I know when it's going to end.
And the end point is attractive enough, sexy enough for you that it's something that you're really aspiring for.
That's it. And I personally think that no more than 9 to 10 months is, I reckon most people can suck it up for 9 to 10 months and be excellent at it for that time period. Because that's the thing with this client of mine is the conversation then moved on to the, right, now we need to do this at 100% for 9 to 10 months. We can't be unmotivated and disliking it anymore. We have to say, right, we've drawn a line in the sand. As of tomorrow, I'm going to kick ass at this. I'm going to put all of me into this because I know that the only way to hand this on in 9 to 10 months time is to be kick ass and is to be all in. And that's the other part that I think that people struggle with is they know they need to do it, but do a half-ass, uncommitted job of it, which stretches 10 months into 10 years and never, ever really allows them to stop doing it.
Yeah, you look at building projects. It's a great example. Yeah, they get distracted and something like that, and suddenly it becomes a nightmare. But I think so. I think the key thing, like you said, is it's actually being honest with yourself and going, I've got to suck this up. It sucks. Right? Too often we try and sugarcoat things. Just admit to yourself that you hate it and it sucks. Have your little strop, jump up and down, stamp your feet, have a little sob, and then freaking get on with it.
That's it. And the other interesting thing that you and I both identify, whenever we work with an outdoor business owner, one of the questions I often ask is, tell me the top 5 to 10 things you hate doing in your business. And they go and list them off. And I look at the list, I'm like, you do know that those, if you were to do those things at 100%, like really commit to those things, those are exactly the things that will achieve your goals for you. Like, and so maybe, folks, if you're listening to this, maybe you can go take that question for yourself right now. Go and write yourself a list of the top 5 to 10 things that you dislike doing in your business. Finding customers, I don't know, selling to people, managing staff, doing the books and the admin, all that, whatever it may well be. And go and look at them and actually honestly to ask yourself, if I was to 100% commit to these things for a year or for 6 months, what would happen? Like, could I give away them? Sorry, Mark. Go on, yeah.
I did an interesting thing with a client earlier this week where I asked them a question at the start of the meeting. And the question was, what are the 3 most important things in your business that's going to make you successful? And then I did a session, which was about an hour and a half. And at the end of the session, I asked them, what are the 3 things that you can't stand doing? And you do a comparison between the 2, and it's like the penny drops. It's like, oh, it's like, right, cool. So you know what the 3 most important things are, and yet the 3 things that you spend the least amount of time doing because you don't like them, oh, guess what? They're the same thing. So business isn't too difficult, let's be honest. We're doing ourselves out of a job here.
That's it. It isn't too difficult. It's interesting. I found a quote the other day from Vaynerchuk, who's like, the world doesn't need business coaches. It needs people who helps people get out of their own way. Because if you want any business information, like we're doing now, it's freely available on YouTube. So what you really need is people who are going to help you get out of your own way. Now, I've got another question for you, because there is one part of business in my mind that every business owner who wants to be successful in whatever their definition of success is has to learn to love, or their business will fail. And so, Mark, can you remember watching your dad drink red wine or beer when you were a kid?
Happens 7 nights a week, so yeah.
Oh yeah, so quite frequently. And as a kid, you identify that, like, as a grown adult, that's something that I should do and I should like, right?
I'm looking at an empty bottle of wine in front of me.
Okay, perfect. And so I should do what I should like. And then can you remember that first big taste of beer or that first big glug of wine that you had when you know you should like it, and yet your taste buds say something different?
Yeah. It wasn't as pleasurable experience as I was hoping for.
Exactly. So in your mind, you build it up, and then it's like, bleh. And I think this thing I'm about to talk about now is a bit like that. If somebody's ever tried smoking, you've watched people who maybe you aspire to be to, like, have a cigarette or a joint, and then you try one yourself, and you're coughing and spluttering everywhere, and it's not as good as it's supposed to be. And that one thing is marketing. I honestly do not believe that a business owner who cannot fall in love with marketing can ever be successful. I don't believe that can ever happen, because only you really know your business. And that's not to say that you can't outsource a website. You can't outsource graphic design, that you can't outsource Facebook ads or Google SEO or whatever it may well be. But you better know what you're outsourcing and how important it is, and be able to spend huge amounts of time with that person or those people, because truly it is the gas or accelerator pedal for your business. Screw up marketing and you have no business. You have no sales. You really have no business. And that's the only thing that I think that a business owner has to go and get motivated to learn to love, just like you've done with wine, I've done with beer, well, we've both done with the same. Whiskey would be another great example. That is the thing. I think we have to find it deep inside ourselves to motivate ourselves to love forever if we truly want to achieve our goals. And our goals could be, I don't know, $5,000 a month in income and only working 4 months of the year. Perfect. That's fine. That's it. Mark, I just want to summarize what you said there because we lost you with the Wi-Fi briefly there. And I think it's really, really important. So if I was to summarize that, we'd say that what marketing really is about is be able to speak the language of your customers and to be able to put your products, services, and problems solved in front of them in their language in a way that makes it appealing to them so that they're curious enough to come and investigate you and your business further. Well, there we have it. I think Mark has now got very unmotivated by the speed of the internet in Durban, South Africa, and maybe it's had a meltdown. But let's bring this episode of Business of the Outdoors to an end. So what I'd like you to go think about is, what is it that you dislike the most in your business? What are you prepared to do in terms to overcome that? How can you build that into a timeline? And how can you learn to fall in love with your customers and fall in love with the concept of marketing? Now, if any of those things are a challenge to you and you want a hand resolving that, you'll find a link below where you can go and book 1 hour in my schedule for me to give you a hand in overcoming those things in your business and maybe helping you find the motivation to go and do the things that you know you need to do yet just can't quite get done. Equally, if you want the chance to promote your business on our podcast to our 80,000 listeners, then please go and click on the same link below and you can go and book an opportunity to come on our Outdoor Business Owner promo series where we do a short interview with you, put it in front of our audience, look to find you more customers. Hope that's been useful. Mark, thanks so much for your time today. You look like you've just suddenly come back after dodgy internet. No, the internet's still dodgy. There we go. And so there we go. That's it. Thank you to Mark. Thank you for listening. Please like, please subscribe, please share this with a friend, show that you care, and we'll speak to you next week. Stay awesome.